Hey guys, it's Tixie here and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to try and help answer the question of is Black Ops Cold War still worth playing and or buying in 2025? Now I'm sure there's probably many people already flocking to the comment section to go quick answer, no, this game is completely dead. However, that is just not the case. Now I appreciate that Cold War is going to be turning 5 years old later this year, so although I do genuinely have a lot of good things to say about this game, I'm going to be completely honest with you all today about the current state of this game based on testing completed by myself, both on PC with crossplay on and PlayStation 5 with crossplay off. Now, there's going to be timestamps in the description below if there's anything in particular that I want to jump to, but let's dive into it. So, a little bit different to the last 2 years when I've done this video, I'm going to be diving straight in with the player count, right? I feel like the player count is the most important part of this video, right? You know, if you're thinking about revisiting this game or even maybe thinking about buying this game, the player count is the one thing that you're going to be looking at. So I can definitely admit that I've noticed some differences from when I did this video 10 or 11 months ago back in 2024. There's definitely been a little bit of a drop in the players. However, you can still get game modes both on PC with crossplay on and PlayStation 5 with crossplay off across all of the main game modes. So that's Team Deathmatch, Hardpoint, Free-for-all, Domination, Search and Destroy, Demolition, Nuketown 24/7 and Face Off. So I think initially that is huge, right? You know, when you look at older Call of Duty titles, you generally get to that point where you can maybe play Team Deathmatch and possibly like one other game mode like Domination or Free-for-all if you're lucky. But the fact that you can still play all of the main modes here in Cold War, I think is huge, right? Even though the game's going to be 5 years old later this year, the fact that these modes and on PlayStation with the crossplay off, I think that that is a really, really positive start for this game. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a little bit of a wait time. I mean, the wait times are not that bad when you consider how old this game is. And of course, you have to take into consideration what time of the day you're playing. I will admit that a lot of my testing was done during the days on weekends, so that's probably a bit of a peak time. But I think when you're playing an older game, you do have to take into consideration when you're playing. On top of that, I will say that there have been some times when I've been playing like late at night and early hours of the morning. And one thing that I have started to notice is the fact that you tend to get put into some quite interesting servers. And I find myself playing at times on 70, 80 plus ping, which is not ideal, but that generally only tends to be the case if you're playing really, really late at night or the early hours of the morning. Now, I would definitely recommend playing with crossplay on for the best experience. Now, I know there's probably some of you out there thinking, well, if I'm on console, I don't really want to play with crossplay on, right? Because cheating's such a huge issue in Call of Duty. So cheating in Black Ops Cold War is not really a problem, right? You know, I'm not saying that cheaters don't exist, but in the last 4 or 5 years of playing this game, I haven't ran into that many obvious cheaters, right? And, you know, whilst I was conducting my testing over the last month or so, I haven't ran into a single cheater. I think that Search and Destroy is probably the worst game mode for it. But like I say, when I did my testing, I didn't run into any cheaters. So if you're worrying about cheaters here in Cold War, I really wouldn't let that put you off, right? It's nowhere near as bad as what we're seeing over in Black Ops 6 at the moment. But as I said, you can play with crossplay off and still find plenty of games. So that is not a problem. So next I wanted to talk very quickly about what is the game like, right? For anybody who's maybe never played this game. So Black Ops Cold War is a very traditional arcade style Call of Duty. It's got very basic movement. There is no tac sprint. You've just got one sprint speed in this game, which is absolutely huge, right? That's such a big thing, I think. In terms of the movement, as I say, it is a little bit slower. It's not quite as fluid. And a word a lot of people have used, and myself included over the years, is that the movement in Cold War is quite clunky. Now, that's not a bad thing. But if you come to this game from playing like a Modern Warfare 3 or a Black Ops 6, it is going to feel a little bit weird to start with. But honestly, I do think that this is a very traditional boots on the ground, kind of like it used to be back in the day, the closest we've kind of had to an old school style Call of Duty, especially when it comes to the movement. You can still slide cancel, sliding is still in the game, but it's not used quite as often. I'd probably say more to maybe, you know, gain an advantage in a gunfight or slide a corner, but you're not constantly spamming it as you run around the map. There's a wide range of weapons to use in this game, and the gunplay is really, really fun. The spawn system in Black Ops Cold War is very logical, and I think the good thing about a spawn system having logic to it is that you can learn it and use that to your advantage, right? And I think that's what everybody wants in Call of Duty. Nobody wants somebody to randomly spawn behind them and shoot them in the back, right? Now, I will admit, I play a lot of demolition. Spawns are quite sticky in that game mode, but even in all the other game modes, the spawns kind of work as you would expect them to in each mode. It's a very vibrant game. I know it sounds like a stupid thing to say, but I feel like vibrant games are always a little bit more appealing to play. The TTK is a little bit higher, not quite as long as Black Ops 4, but probably somewhere around kind of like what it was in Modern Warfare 3, which I think is really good. It's not as ridiculously fast as it was in, say, Modern Warfare 2019 and Vanguard. And there's a great selection of maps, including classics such as Slums, Standoff and Raid. So I couldn't make this video without very briefly touching on skill-based matchmaking. It still does exist in Black Ops Cold War. Good players still exist on this game, but overall the matchmaking is a lot better, right? Because the player count has dropped to the point where you're not really getting matched up on your skill. You're just getting matched up with who's playing the game. So you'll find you'll get a lot more mixed lobbies, a much more varied experience. And I would compare matchmaking in Black Ops Cold War now to what matchmaking used to be like pre-skill-based matchmaking. You just never know what you're going to get. You could play against really good players, you could play against really bad players, a complete mix. You just never know what you're going to get. It doesn't mean you're going to get easy lobbies every single game or every single day, but skill-based matchmaking in Black Ops Cold War is nowhere near as much of a problem as it was when the game was in its prime. So overall, guys, do I think Black Ops Cold War is still worth playing in 2025? Absolutely, if you already own this game, right? I think if you're revisiting Cold War, there's still plenty of players playing it. You can still play across various modes, and I think that it's still, definitely worth giving this game a look. And as I said earlier, I would definitely suggest playing with crossplay on for the best experience. However, as I mentioned, you don't have to, right? It's not necessarily needed. Do I think this game is worth buying in 2025? This is where I'd be completely honest and say it's probably not, right? Now, I rank Black Ops Cold War very highly. I think it's an absolutely awesome game. And as I said, there does still seem to be a lot of people playing, right? Because you can play across so many different modes. I wouldn't say this game's completely dead. But what we don't know is what the future holds for this game, right? It's going to be turning 5 years old in November. Their player count is only going to continue to drop, right, as time goes on. And I just think right now, unless you could get this game for really, really, really cheap, I just don't think it's worth it, right? And not because I think it's a bad game. I just think that you're taking a huge risk, right, if you're spending quite a bit of money. And it's a difficult thing to say, right, because there's a lot of unknowns. We don't know what the future of this game looks like. If this game is still as populated as it is today, in a year's time, then I'd say, yeah, definitely go out and buy it for like a 10 or 15 quid if you can get it. But we just don't know, right? It's so unknown. You just feel like the player count is going to continue to drop. And, we obviously don't know exactly what this year's Call of Duty is going to be. Black Ops 6 has maybe not quite hit that level, but if the next COD drags more players away, it could cause problems here on Cold War. So yeah, if I'm being brutally honest, I don't think Cold War is worth buying anymore unless you can get it really cheap. But if you do already own this game, 100% revisit Cold War. I feel like it's an absolute hidden gem. I feel like people think of what it was like in its prime and they just think, what a horrible game. But Treyarch really did get on top of it. They put their kind of DNA into the game, over time. They really put their kind of stamp on it. And I genuinely feel like this is a really, really good Call of Duty. And now with the bonus of not having strict skill-based matchmaking, this is an awesome Call of Duty title. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there, guys. I didn't want to go into quite as much depth this year as I've done in the previous years, because as I say, the game is getting older now, but I still felt like it warranted making this video, and I will always do my best to try and keep Black Ops Cold War alive for as long as possible. If you've enjoyed today's video, guys, please do hit the like button down below, and please feel free to use the comment section to share your opinions, to share your experiences, good or bad, right, to try and paint the most honest picture we can of Black Ops Cold War in 2025, so that anybody coming to this video who's maybe considering, buying it, maybe going for it, let's try and help them out the best we can in the comment section. If you're brand new around here and want to find your way back for more, please do consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, guys, I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.